All right, folks, we are only 1 week from the kickoff of an NFL season. I am so excited. Football is going on right now on the TV. We got the Buffalo and Dion in trouble against North Dakota State, so we'll see how that turns out. But 1 week from tonight, the Ravens kick off versus the Chiefs and in Kansas City, and it is time for my official over-unders podcast for the season. So I went and looked at the win total over-unders from every team in the NFL, and I picked out the 5 that I like most, the 5 bets that I like most. So we'll go through those here in a second. But I have some stayaways, some teams that were really hard for me to project, bets that I looked at, and I just didn't know which way to go. So let's start with this, the Bills plus 10.5. This one was really hard for me because I think Josh Allen is a very good quarterback. I think he's the second best quarterback in the NFL, but they're pretty void of talent right now. They lost their 2 best wide receivers. They lost their 2 starting safeties. They lost multiple more positions on defense, and Milano is out again. Plus, they have a really difficult schedule. So they have a lot of things going against them, but I think Josh Allen is going to keep them in a lot of games, if not every game. So that was really hard for me to figure out which way that was going to go. Number 2, the Jaguars. Similar situation. I'm not really sure what to project at Trevor Lawrence. Oh, by the way, their over-under is 8.5. I'm not really sure what to expect out of Trevor Lawrence. Their offensive line is really shaky. Their first few games are pretty tough. They got a pretty tough first half of the schedule. It eases up a little bit in the second half. So at 8.5, I was really uncertain what to do with that one. The third one, the Eagles plus 10.5. They have a ton of talent. They've got the best 2 wide receiver duo in probably the entire NFL. They've got a very good line, although they did lose Jason Kelce, but I do not like the vibe around this team at all. The coach, Sirianni, I don't necessarily like. It doesn't appear that him and the quarterback get along very well. And on defense, I did not like them. They were horrible in the last 8 games of the season and the playoff game last year, and they're trying to fill in a lot of rookies to fill those gaps, and I just don't think I really like their defense right now. So 10.5 was kind of hard for me to project, although they do have a lot of talent. And then the last one were the Niners. The Niners were 11.5 win total. And I think they're the most talented team in the NFC, if not the entire NFL, but they're already very banged up. They got Christian McCaffrey's going to miss a few games, it looks like. Trent Williams is still holding out. They got some injuries on defense yet, and they're going to have a tough first couple weeks of the season already with some of the injuries. So 11.5 is an enormous number. And with some of the injury potential they have, that for me was just a stay away. So let's get to the 5 that I like. And I'm going to start with number 5. The Chiefs over 11.5. And this one sounds kind of crazy because 11.5 is an enormous number. But let's take a look at this. They won the Super Bowl last year, and I think they've upgraded in a lot of positions. They've upgraded in right tackle. Last year, they had the most penalties of any offensive lineman in the NFL, and they've upgraded at that position. They are considerably better at wide receiver with Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown. I think they're just going to be a lot better at that position. Last year, they had the 3rd most drops, and they had the most turnovers by a non-QB in the NFL last year. So I think they're just going to be better at a lot of positions. They're still going to be awesome on defense, and they have the best player in the NFL in Patrick Mahomes. So I think this is a 12 or 13 win team, and I'm going to take the Chiefs over 11.5. Number 4, this is a combo bet. I'm betting both New York teams to go under their win total. So the Jets, 9.5, and the Giants, 6.5. And let's start with the Jets. So the Jets, couple things. They have a very tough schedule. They got to play the Dolphins twice. They got to play the Bills twice. They start off at San Francisco. They just have a lot of tough games. They have an old quarterback who missed a year and was not very good the prior year. And they picked up some people. Some of their big offseason acquisitions were just really injury prone. A lot of people are on the Jets right now. I just don't see it. And right now, I'm betting them under. And as far as the Giants go, they have an over-under of 6.5. I do not know how this number is not lower. To me, they are the worst team in the NFL. They're looking to draft a quarterback. They have almost no talent at the skill positions outside of the rookie wide receiver. I do like their pass rush, but other than that, they just don't have very much talent. And I think this is going to be right up there with the Panthers for the worst team in the NFL. So I'm taking a combo bet there with both New York teams to go under. Number 3, I'm going to take the Lions plus 10.5, over 10.5. So I think outside of the Niners, this is the most talented team in the NFC. They were a couple plays away from going to the Super Bowl last year, and I think they are better than they were a year ago. So I like a lot of their players. I think Jared Goff is very underrated. They're going to be solid on defense. They've got a lot of talent on the wide receiver position, very good offensive line. So I just like what they have going on right now. So I'm going to take the Lions over 10.5. Number 2, and this is a popular pick. There's a lot of people talking this right now. I am taking the Bears over 8.5 wins. And there's a couple things. Their schedule is not very daunting. They have some easy games right out of the gate. So I think if they can get Caleb Williams some confidence and get a couple wins right away, that's really going to help. Number 2, if you look at their number 1, 2, and 3 wide receiver, I think they are the most skilled position. That is the most skill of any wide receiver group in the NFL. If you look at the first 3 wide receivers, very good at that position. Defense, I think they're going to be a top 10 defense. The one question mark I do have is their offensive line. I don't think their offensive line is going to be great, but I love Caleb Williams. I think he is going to be a top 10 quarterback by the end of this year, and I think they're going to make the playoffs, and I am taking the Bears over 8.5. And so that leads me to my favorite over-under for the year. I am taking the Steelers under 8.5 wins. And I want to point out a couple things. Number 1, I think their defense is tremendous. I think they're going to have a top 3 defense in the NFL, but a lot of that hinges on TJ Watt. And if TJ Watt gets injured and misses a few games, which he has in the past, that defense is going to be reduced in impact a little bit. Second thing, I hate their quarterback position right now. Russell Wilson, if Russell Wilson's right now the starter, I wouldn't be surprised if by week 8 we see Justin Fields, it's going that bad. I think they are really going to struggle to score points. They got George Pickens at wide receiver, who was okay last year, pretty good for a rookie, but I don't really know what they have outside of that. And if you look at their last 7 games, is among the toughest stretch of any team has in the NFL. If you look at their last 7 games, they've got the Browns twice, they've got the Bengals twice, they've got a couple other playoff teams from last year. I don't have it in front of me, but their last 7 games is absolutely murder's row. And I think there's a chance they could go 1-6, 2-5 in those last 7 games. So I am taking the Steelers under 8.5 wins as my favorite over-under bet of the year. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Hit me back with any comments, and we'll talk to you next week.